Bats goes off. Okay, well our bats are finally doing stuff, which is great. Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with the latest in deck technology. And for today's deck tech, we're going to be going into the historic format to continue taking advantage of some of the brand new cards that have been added in thanks to the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth set. Now, what exactly is this card we're going to be looking at today? Well, fair warning right now, I actually love the card we're about to show you right now so much that I actually have a couple other brews that I'm working on. But for today, we're just going to focus on a much more safer to build. This deck, of course, comes as no surprise to anybody out here, and I love the deck. I know some people out there might not be fans of it, but I'm going to once again freshen up this build that many of you are already familiar with. So we're looking at, once again, another Rakdos Cat Oven deck. However, this time we're calling it Cats and Bats. But of course, before we get started, let's go ahead and explain some of the basic stats of the deck. So of course, with this deck, we're looking at a Rakdos style of black and red. We're going to have about an average mana curve of 1.9. We're looking at 20 creature spells total with 8 instants, 8 artifacts, 4 enchantments, and 20 lands across the board. Now, I know what some of you might be saying out there. Infernoman, why are we doing again another Cat Oven deck? Well, of course, I just love this deck and it is my channel, so
I have no soul.
Don't worry, I do have a couple other fresh deck techs that are going to take advantage of some newer cards from the Lord of the Rings set, but there's one card in particular from that set that I wanted to add to this deck that I think is a great addition and highly synergistic, even on a budget. We're obviously talking about Mirkwood Bats. So this 4-mana bat creature is a 2/3 with flying that says, whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. Now, that's actually pretty powerful for a common card, and this of course is why we're going to take advantage of it. So of course, you may have known already that Cat Oven takes advantage of a simple little near infinite loop, of course, where you're sacrificing the cat to the witches of it to create a food token. You sacrifice the food token to bring back the Cauldron Familiar from the graveyard back to the battlefield. Thanks to, of course, Mirkwood Bats, that token also will then allow us to ping our opponent again. So basically the whole deck is just taking advantage of the redundancy we're going to utilize in this deck. In this version of the build, we're going to have 4 copies of Fatal Push as our removal. We're going to use Voldrin Epicure and Blood Tithe Harvester. These vampires, of course, will create blood tokens. Blood tokens will trigger off the Mirkwood Bats to make our opponent lose life. And of course, we can sacrifice the blood tokens to again do some more damage with Mirkwood Bats as we continually filter through our deck, throwing away what we don't need to draw hopefully into action we do need. To take advantage of creating more tokens with the Mirkwood Bats, we're going to use Oni Cult Anvil to sacrifice maybe the tokens we don't need to create more tokens using constructs. And again, this adds more redundancy. Yes, I know what you might be thinking right now. Basically, this is just going to do the same thing that Mayhem Devil already does, but think of it this way. Mirkwood Bats is basically copies 4, 5, and 6 in this version of the deck of the Mayhem Devil. Plus, of course, the fact that it has flying means that it also has a little bit of evasion, which honestly, the main deck, of course, is lacking. Now, to add in yet another layer of redundancy, since we're focusing a lot on artifacts, we're going to, of course, use one of my favorite cards, Reckless Fireweaver. That's a fantastic card. Same thing. It does a lot of pinging as long as artifacts enter the battlefield under our control. To take advantage of any of the excess artifacts that we don't need for more card draw action, we also have Deadly Dispute, which also creates yet another artifact and yet another token, which takes advantage of Reckless Fireweaver and Mirkwood Bats. Now, since we are going to focus a little bit on the token strategy, I know some people may not like this, but yes, we have to put it in Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It's a fantastic card. It's amazingly powerful, regardless of whatever format it is in. So of course, since it's legal in Historic, we have to take advantage of this. The token, of course, as I'm going to say once again, takes advantage of the burn effect that Mirkwood Bats has, draining our opponent out. We can create even more tokens if we can flip it into Kiki Jiki, and also we can create treasures, which will also trigger off Reckless Fireweaver, and of course the Bats. Whew, as if I have to say it again. Redundancy is basically the main focus of this deck, so that's why, of course, it's such an amazing card for what we're trying to do. That's basically it. I'm pretty sure all of you already can figure out how the whole game plan works. Stall out your opponent, slowly drain them out, and drive them batty.
Boo! You stink!
But in any case, that's of course overall the whole deck for you. As far as the land base, since we are budget this time, and since we're taking advantage of using 4 rares for the Fable of the Mirror Breakers, we're going to be a little bit cheaper with our land base this time. But of course, if you have the more expensive dual lands, take advantage of those while you can. We have otherwise 5 swamps, 4 mountains, 2 copies of Ramanop Ruins, creates more burn, of course, triggers off some of our other cards such as Mayhem Devil. 4 Boding Ruins is great because it's an awesome budget option for us. We have Field of Ruin, 4 copies of Rivers Overlook, so we can take advantage of more of the triggering effects that Mayhem Devil has. Remember, of course, Fatal Push also takes advantage of this by taking things that are much more powerful if a permanent we control left the battlefield. Since our deck tends to fall into just the right combination of pips with our black and red, we can then take advantage of Jengotha, of course, in the sideboard. So this is basically a free roll for us. So of course, that's why we got to have it. In the sideboard, we're going to have copies of Tormod's Crypt. Again, it's an artifact, so it triggers off Reckless Fireweaver. We could sacrifice it. Mayhem Devil takes advantage of that too. It's a free option. Duress will be for our control deck matchups out there. We have a copy of Annihilating Glare. Great, again, for sacrificing what we don't need to take out something for a really cheap cost. For creatures that are problematic to us, we have Claim the Firstborns. We also actually have a Furnace Reigns. I know this is really expensive, but hear me out. For cards that we can't deal with, such as, say, the Shieldreds out there, this card is great and also creates a token, which takes advantage of Mirkwood Bats as well. For the troublesome artifacts out there and enchantments, we have a single copy of Abrade and Feed the Swarm, but also they can take out creatures in the early game if we really need them to. And then finally, in the final spot, if we need a little bit more evasion and much more power to finish off our opponent, we have 2 copies of Ob Nixilis Captive Kingpin, another new card that I really wanted to take advantage of. And the fact that our deck has a lot of singular pinging, Ob Nixilis can go off, and it is hilariously powerful when it does. But otherwise, that's the whole deck for you in a nutshell. So I obviously don't need to tell you really that I love how, again, this deck works. No matter what we get, we just keep getting more powerful pieces that take advantage of the fact that we don't have to spend a lot to make even a Rakdos deck work on a budget, and this is why I highly recommend playing this. So as always, we're going to take this deck into a couple of matches and show you how well it does even at the cheap cost we are currently playing it at. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content so you don't miss out on any of the gameplay, booster pack openings, deck decks, and so much more. Alright, my fiery friends, here we go. We're playing our Cats and Bats Rakdos deck in the historic format. And, well, we do have a cat and an oven, so this is actually pretty solid, and we do have ways of drawing into more action with a piece of removal. Let's keep this. I think we can get by with what we have. Okay, so they have a forest. Foreboding Ruin, showing off our swamp. We will then put down the Cauldron Familiar. Meow meow. Alright, Ramanop Ruins. Oh, okay. So there's some kind of... Oh, okay. So they're going to start storming off. We can't afford to have that happen. So what we need to do now is we'll play the swamp. We will play Witch's Oven. And we Fatal Push away their Archaeomancer. We go swinging here, down to 17. Okay, so we do have at least have part of our game plan already on board. Harmonic Prodigy. So we sack our Witch's Oven. We make our food. Sacking the food. Bringing the cat back. I mean, you guys already understand how this game plan works. So with that, Ramanop Ruins. Bouldering Epicure. Fatal Pushing away the Harmonic Prodigy. We go swinging at our opponent. They're down to 14. And we pass. We do have some Deadly Disputes. This is great for us, so that means we can take advantage of that blood token that we just left over. Burning Tree Emissary. They make some mana. Faceless Agent. That's an interesting choice, but okay. Looking for a specific piece. Alright, opponent ends with a turn, so again, more cat sacking shenanigans. Sack the food. Cat comes back. And our turn. Alright, another land. So at this point, just sack now the blood token. Draw some cards. Alright, so with that, we can then play... Actually, do we want to do this now? Okay, actually, we're going to hold on to it for a second. Another Voldrad Epicure. And we pass here. Alright, so, opponent, if you have a 4-drop, we can take care of it at least with a Fatal Push, which is good for us. Ooh, they have a Beseiju. Okay, so with that, we can then sack the Cauldron Familiar now. We then Deadly Dispute away the Witch's Oven, since they're going to just destroy it anyway. We draw into some action. Unfortunately, this does mean we're going to be a little awkward right now what we got, but that's okay, because we do have a Mayhem Devil now on board. Wow, they go to 9. Okay. Let's see if that pays off for our opponent. That's pretty risky. They go swinging here. No blocks, because we're perfectly fine with 19 land. Okay, so with that, Mayhem Devil, Riveter's Overlook, we sack, ping away the Elvish Visionary. We will get a land. We get a swamp. We then sack the Cauldron Familiar. Actually, I'm sorry. Pinging our opponent, we get the cat back, I mean. Wow, I cannot say words again. We then swing here. Down to 5. Alright, we're close. We've almost got it. I mean, granted, of course, we didn't get a chance to use our bat, but that's okay, everybody. Okay, so Rage Forger does its thing. Does our opponent swing? They do not. Okay, so with that, go here. Ooh, okay. So this is fine too. Reckless Fireweaver. Foreboding Ruin. I think we got it next turn. So I think for here, we just pass. And I think we won next turn. Unless if our opponent has some way of gaining life, there's nothing they can do against our next turn, even if they swing with everything they got. Another Rage Forger. A little scary, but that's okay, everybody. So what we do is we sack a treasure. We can then ping down to 4. Rage Forger out of the way. Did that do it? Was that enough against our opponent? I think we might have gotten him here. Ooh, okay. So this is it, everybody. We won here. So, Ramanov Ruins. Sack here. Ping. Down to 1. Blood Token. Throwing away our land. We ping him again. And that's it, everybody. I know. That didn't really do much in terms of using a bat, but I'll take that win. As always, even on a budget, Rakdos Sacrifice is still a powerful deck. Alright, my favorite friends, here we go. We are playing our Cats and Bats deck in Historic. And, well, we do have a cat, but no bat. So let's hope that we can actually draw into it. This hand is fine. We can make it work. So let's keep and see what happens. Alright, Swamp down. Cauldron Familiar. Cat's on board. Okay, Shivan Reef. Symmetry Sage. Alright, looks like it's going to be the... It'll be the Spellslinger deck that we're going to have to deal with right now. That's fine. We'll make it work. Fatal push away the Symmetry Sage. Go attacking. Down to 17. I don't know if we can outrace this deck. This deck is a lot faster than ours, but we're going to try to see what we can come up with. Soulscar Mage. Birthday Escape. Alright, draw a card, and the ring tempts them. Blood Tithe Harvester. Take a blood token. No attacks. Steven shocking themselves. Soulscar Mage gets a pump from the Firebrand. Ring tempts them again. Dreadhorde Arcanist. Phonobola swinging here. Draw a card, discard a card. Down to 19. Alright, Foreboding Ruins. Not exactly what I wanted right now, but I guess that's fine. So, Oni Cult Anvil. And we pass here. Alright, Pathway Land. Opponent's got 3 cards in hand left. Balmor. Oh boy. They just might be going off this turn. Do they have what I think they have? Reckless Charge. No surprise there. Of course they had it. They get all the pumps. Birthday Escape. Are we dead? They draw. Opponent triggering off. The ring temps again. Throw away a card. Reckless Charge again. And I think that's probably game, everybody. Yep, that's game.
Well, this stinks.
We'll sack our sad little token. Ping them. But, yeah. That was painful. Wow, I really underestimated those Lord of the Rings cards. Maybe we should try this deck for ourselves on a budget in a future deck tech. Let me know if you want to see that. Alright, everybody, so here we go. We're playing our Cats and Bats Rakdos deck in Historic, and, well, we do have a cat. No bats, though, but that's fine. We'll make it work with what we got. So, with that, put down a Swamp and a Cauldron Familiar. Kitty Cat's off to the races. Coast. Fragment Reality. Annoying, but this is fine. Still in the early game, everybody. We'll play Blood Tithe Harvester. Make a blood token. Alright, Pathway Land. Ooh, we got a bat. That's great. So we actually do have what we need. We just gotta start swinging here and doing some damage. Down to 16. I think the best way we can do this is we're gonna have to slow roll everything. If our opponent is playing Azorius colors, expect counter spells. Lots of counter spells. Okay, so with that, Oni called Anvil, which is great also. So what do we do? I think we play Mayhem Devil. We're just gonna assume they're gonna counterspell this. Watch. Oh wow, they actually didn't. Okay, well that's even better for us. Go swinging. Snapcaster. I'm serious. It's like modern over here, but it's just worse because we have alchemy cards. All right, it's fine, everybody. It's fine. Fragment Reality. We will throw away Volder Epicure, triggering the Mayhem Devil, getting Snapcaster Mage at least off the field, so it can't chump block. So we lose that, unfortunately. But we do get a Cauldron Familiar, so that's actually not too bad, right? Alright. Oh, a Divine Purge. Well, that's really annoying, but again, it's fine, everybody. We'll make it work still. Okay, so Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Make a token. Riveter's Overlook. Sacking immediately. We will get a mountain. Gain life. Okay, so they put down their Glacial Fortress. 4 cards left in hand, opponent. Very annoying, but not impossible to beat.
Hurry.
Opponent will untap. Alright. What do we throw away? Do we throw away anything here? I don't think we should. So we'll just keep what we got. Mirkwood Bats. Do you have counter opponents? They don't. Alright. Well, this is kind of nice. Go swinging here. Make a treasure token. The bat goes off. Drain them for 1. Down to 9. It's really tempting to put down that Oni Cult Anvil now, but they have a lot of cards in hand. Alright, Glacial Fortress. The One Ring. Oh, wow. Haven't seen anybody play this yet. Is it that good? I guess we'll find out in a bit. Put Burden counter on. Draw. Fairy tap draws. They untapped lands. I do want to try the One Ring eventually, so we're going to have to just keep an eye on that for a little while. Okay, so we got Fatal Push. Alright. We will play Oni Cult Anvil. So our opponent looking at our bat. Ooh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate, but that's fine, everybody. Let's go ahead and we'll play our second Mirkwood Bats. Sacrificing a token. Do you have another counter opponent? They get pinged. They don't. Interesting. Okay. Swing here. Make a treasure token. Bats goes off. Okay, well our bats are finally doing stuff, which is great. But is it going to be fast enough? Okay. Obviously, yes, I know that the One Ring protected them for a turn, but we just needed to drain them a little bit with a token. That's why I did that, everybody. Okay, we tap again with the One Ring. They draw.
Let's skip to the good part.
Okay. Opponent's got all the mana they need to just do their thing. So I'm a little worried right now. Okay, another land. If our opponent lets us untap to get the reflection of Kiki Jiki, this could be it. Oh, Snapcaster Mage. I wonder what our opponent is going to get. Yes, of course they get the Divine Purge. So with that, sack, drain them. While that's on the stack, Snapcaster Mage goes bye-bye with Fatal Push. We got him down to 3. That's not bad, everybody. Divine Purge. card so much. Why are cards like this in Alchemy, everybody? I swear. Just makes me so mad. Okay, anyways, back to the game. Oh, wow, our opponent gave up? Okay, I'll take that. Yay. Wow, did they really not have what they wanted in hand? Okay, well, that was a nice fluke, but you got to at least see the bat kind of works, sort of. And there you have it, everybody. So that was our Cats and Bats deck for you on Historic. And you tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Are you a fan of this deck in any way, shape, or form? I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys. As much as I thought this deck was going to be amazing, sadly, the bat just didn't perform as well as I was hoping it would. That's, again, not to say that the card is bad. I actually, again, am a fan of the card, but in Historic currently, it might be a little too slow for us. To be perfectly honest, if only the card was legal in the Explorer/Pioneer format, I think we would have had an all-star here. But it does feel a little painful at times to have to take off a turn to cast the bat on turn 4, maybe turn 3 if you get a treasure out, and you have to hopefully let it sit out. Hopefully your opponent does not have removal, or else you just end up kind of sitting back a whole turn where you did, well, absolutely nothing. Still, I wouldn't throw away the card just yet. I think if the right deck comes along, we could take advantage of the bat. So maybe for the Rakdos build that we have currently, it might not be the best for the bat. Maybe it might be better if we just stuck to the Mayhem Devil. If you put in Ob Nixilis and toss out the bat, the deck is completely legal in the Explorer format. So food for thought on that one. Still, we're going to, again, probably take another crack at utilizing Mirkwood bats in, again, a future deck where I think we might come up with maybe an even jankier plan. Don't ask me why I'm going to say that, but I think a jankier plan around just pure token synergies with the bats might be the best option for us. We actually already made a token deck a little while ago, so maybe that might be the best option for the bats down the line. So also keep in mind that usually this is the point where I kind of show you again how you can make this deck even better on a non-budget build, but we've done that multiple times with this. Obviously, if you're going to then play this in Historic, you're basically going to just want to throw together the Rakdos build that's already tier 1 in this format. So just look around for that. There's a ton of builds on that. I'm not going to explain the whole thing for you. Not that I'm trying to be lazy, mind you, but again, there's just so many variants already of Rakdos out there that any one of them will obviously get you to victory. And again, it's going to be much more efficient. If you do like this build at the very minimum, as always, I will constantly point out the same thing. If you just upgrade the mana base at the bare minimum, you already have a solid deck for you as is. And then from there, you can just build up upon, again, what you want to take advantage of more. If you want to take advantage more of the artifacts, you can add in maybe some Reckless Fireweavers. If you want to take advantage more of the pinging effects, you again, as I mentioned before, put an Ob Nixilis. Keep, of course, everything. So add in more Mayhem Devils if you want to. It's honestly, again, already self-built for you, so you really don't have to do that much to then make the necessary adjustments to make it a strong deck. My only other final thoughts I want to say is if you are a fan of the Cat Oven strategy, if you just like Rakdos Sacrifice in general, if you're a person that just likes making your opponent feel miserable, then you're definitely going to want to play this deck. I know a lot of people don't like this deck. I wouldn't say it's controversial, but obviously the deck does have a lot of pieces now that are not only cheap, but tend to be frowned upon in the community. But again, I'm still a fan of this deck. So once you do get your wins with this deck, just sacrificing stuff and pinging away at your opponent, draining them little by little to get to your victory, you will drive your opponent batty. And I assure you, you will definitely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.